Just talk about that. Just talk about that. This is Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. And you're watching the Convention Junkies, the best show about horror and all the great conventions in the nation of Canada. And all over the world. Sacre bleu, c'est moi, Jason ne meurt jamais.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Ari.
Yeah.
Listen, I attended your panel the other day. It was entertaining as shit.
Well, thank you.
You were, like I told you in your booth, I said, you're like that guy, that Fat Man of Batman.
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith. You're an amazing public speaker, and I go see you talk for like 3 hours, and I just the time just flew because you were just so good at talking.
Oh well, it's so it's a privilege to be a part of this great tradition, and when I can share that enthusiasm with others who truly have been enjoying it. I mean, ultimately, the movies are made for the people to enjoy, you know, among other reasons, but primarily, if people don't enjoy them, we're not getting anywhere. So we're in the fun business, so you got to make it fun. But it is Betsy Palmer who is the best panelist of all time, because she was on this show, I Got a Secret, and it was a game show. It was a live game show back in the 50s. But she could make people just laugh so much, and it wouldn't have to be, it wouldn't have to be adult humor. Although she would get very bawdy, it would be. She knew how to just ride that line, so people would just laugh with just great, and never poking fun at another person. That wasn't her trip, Although, hey, Don Rickles, he's funny too, but that wasn't Betsy's thing. Betsy's Palmer thing was she just got people to laugh. She knew a lot of good jokes, and she used to do this thing, okay, like here I am, Mr. Metal Guy, like I'm all metal. And she would come out like this nice old lady, and she would start making penis jokes. It was great. And I would turn about as red as his hat. And she would say, "What's the matter, Ari? Was the water cold?" Things like that.
Well, you learn from the best.
Oh my gosh.
I was reading up about you before I did the interview and before I saw the panel, because I just want to learn as much as I could about you. And what I found really interesting about what happened to you, and actually some of the panelists here had the same story, where they started out dabbling a little bit in cinema, but ended up going right back to their strengths and their love. For you, it was music. And I found it interesting. Your trajectory path to music is crazy, because you started out with classical and jazz was your big thing.
Sure.
And professionally trained, and then you went and you said, well, I guess I'll do reggae now, and then you're like, well, maybe I'll do punk metal. That's a whiplash. You're fearless.
I can explain that trajectory because, as a young student, I studied jazz piano, and I was given. Dr. Billy Taylor actually gave me a scholarship to Berklee School of Music. But then out of, in comes Wynton Marsalis jazz, and then, Kenny G jazz. So it was like being, this physical makeup. It was like, well, I was going to go into that world. And at that time, wow, that easy jazz thing, it just, and I just couldn't take it. Forget it. That's not me. So, I'm more into like Frank Zappa jazz, if you want, So after that happened, the way I got into reggae, it was really African music at first, which is so wild, because I was friends with a lot of the, actually musicians who happened to be cab drivers, and those cab driving musicians had friends who were from West Africa. And one day, it was just, as luck would have it, we need a keyboardist, because there's a band come over from Nigeria and they need a keyboardist. And someone says, we know Ari. And it was so funny because I happened to be traveling with the now deceased brother of one of the great jazz bassists, whose name is Essien, who happens to be from Nigeria. His brother, Nelson Essien, was a friend of mine, just a character. We were just happened to be together, and he said, I'll bring you over to that session, So, because I want to see if, they're from Nigeria. He walks into the session, and the lead singer and him had gone to high school. So they're like, hey, and then, so I got hired in that band, for one reason or other. And I ended up working for Interscope Records. Little Steven produced the album for that artist from Nigeria. Then I went and performed in Ivory Coast. So I was very a part of the world music scene. But then something happened which kind of put the kibosh on the world music scene, and that was 9/11. I was living in New York City. I was actually a Red Cross volunteer, my wife and I, at 9/11 at the Ground Zero site, and for 2 weeks. And, world music people were kind of not interested at that time. They wanted more comforting. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the entire section of Greenwich Village, you couldn't even, where we would perform, no one was allowed to go there because of all kinds of terrible issues. So I ended up moving to Chicago, where my wife had, her family needed my help kind of doing some real estate things, and we did that, and successfully, I might add. And then so as I'm doing that, I get a letter from a fan, and it says, have you signed this photo here? And I said, what do you mean have I signed this photo? And he goes, no, I just bought this for $50 on eBay. Did you sign that? And so that opened up a whole new thing. So now, to get to the metal part, when I went to these conventions, including the Meadowlands Convention, Chiller Theater Convention, Fangoria Convention, I had my reggae music with me, hey, and some of the guys were like, yeah, well, I don't really listen to reggae, but this is very good, Ari, they were being cool. But then I said, why not just hit them where they live? And I said, all right, how about the first Jason? And fortunately, when I lived in Chicago, I met a great bass player nicknamed Nefarious. He's from the band Macabre. Yeah. And so he said he is a great musician, and he gave me a lot of great advice. So one of them was to create a guitar of some kind, and kind of as a joke, I created a guitar on a giant machete. So here we're bringing in, I'm playing with, at that time the drummer had played with the Chromax, the bass player is in Macabre to this day. So there was punk, there was metal, and then here's me with everything, African, jazz, funk, rock. I'm bringing it all together because I don't think that there should be any limitations in this time period, especially that we're in now. Now, if you fast forward to now, we're working on our fourth album. We had the first album, Jason Is Watching. The second one, Heed My Warning. The third one, To Be a Monster. And now we're working on Lord of the Lake. And I'm just happy to say that in the past year, I've been able to bring together some very, very great musicians. And you think I'm a nice guy. You meet these guys, you'll just think I'm a big grouch, because they're really, really great people. And that's Fabian Arroyo, who's our drummer, brought in Johnny Danger, who's our bass player. Now, Eddie Machete had been there a lot, but Eddie can't always travel because he's also part of Joe Satriani's, he's a student of Joe. But so we have the Cosmic Warrior, Gabriel Zaleski, who's with us this time, as you guys all saw, and he does a fantastic job too. So it's I'm very, very.
You asked me to come to you yesterday and ask you about how the gig went. I had to go home I had to travel like an hour. So, but how did it go? I mean, did it blow the roof off?
Yeah. There's videos.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
The place was packed. As a matter of fact, they had these amplifiers. They're called Wizard amps. They're created in Canada. And I'm in Peter St. Clair or something like that. Yeah. But he works for AC/DC, and we were benefited by his presence. And when I got my guitar into one of those amps, Oh no. And a little bourbon. And so I was there. And so those amps are so nice because they're very warm and very tone responsive. And you can turn them way up, and I did. And the funny thing is, then, they were like, the sound man said something really cool. He's like, Ari, it sounds great, but I'd like to hear the rest of your band too. And everyone's laughing. I'm like, "Wow." But then afterwards, to his credit, because he did a fine job, he did a superb job, but then this Peter from AC/DC, he said, no, don't listen to that. He said, if it's too loud, you're too old, just turn it up. I was like, oh, I should have gone with that. Because those things sound so good.
Well, listen, Ari, you have things to do. I thank you. You just made my day. Thanks for
Much
taking the time out.
appreciated.
And you know what? I don't
And we
usually
did
get
it
to do it
in
in the
the
sunlight. Yeah,
sunshine.
exactly.
Yeah, well, sometimes, we do these great events. This Cape Cornwall area pop event has been absolutely superb. Everybody who worked on it and helped us, especially Carol and Randy, they did a fantastic job.
It's a friendly con. Really.
Oh, yeah.
The people are really
And-
super nice around here too.
And everything has been super wonderful. I got a jacuzzi in my room. So it's like if I'm standing and writing, then I do
Is it a heart-shaped jacuzzi? I need to know.
No, it's not. It's
Like the
not.
honeymoon suite type
No,
deal?
it's like a big, like for people who need muscle. It's not all that romantic looking. It's just like, I'll sit there and no. But, Jason likes to float around more. But no, that was just thoughtful and
Yeah.
they took care of everything. And, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of great, future Cape events. Because it's redundant if we say Cape event because the word event is already in there. So
That's right.
there'll be more Capes. Cape never dies, like Jason. Jason never dies.
Thank you for watching the
And I, we're like the French guys. Henri. It's not Henri. No, my name's Ari.
Thank you for watching the Convention Junkies coverage of the 2018 Cornwall and area pop event. Please like, comment and subscribe to see more. If you would like to help us with future projects, please visit our Patreon page.